You want closure. You tell yourself it's about understanding, about finally hearing the words that will make the pain stop. You imagine the conversation, one final explanation, a neatly wrapped narrative, a clean ending. But the truth is harsher. Closure is a myth, not because endings aren't real, but because your brain doesn't crave understanding, it craves control. Attachment theory explains the machinery behind this obsession. Anxiously attached individuals perceive separation as danger, not loss. Every unread message, every delayed reply, every silence triggers cortisol surges. The nervous system becomes hypervigilant. Your mind loops over every tone, every nuance, every micro-expression, trying to rewrite a past that is fixed. You don't want answers. You want reassurance. You want the world to bend so the pain ceases. But reality doesn't negotiate. Behavioral psychology exposes another cruel fact. Intermittent reinforcement hooks us more than consistency. That one warm text after days of silence. It triggers dopamine in the same way a gambler reacts to a slot machine. Breadcrumbing, half-hearted apologies. Sudden bursts of attention, they condition the mind to stay invested. Every uncertain signal keeps the neural pathways for longing and pain active, intensifying obsession rather than resolving it. Cognitive biases magnify the torment. The Zeigarnik effect ensures that unfinished emotional loops occupy more mental space than completed ones. You feel the story is incomplete, so the mind demands resolution. But any resolution is filtered through your biases. Confirmation bias ensures that even a heartfelt explanation is interpreted in a way that reinforces your fear of inadequacy, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. Your brain is an unreliable narrator. Closure doesn't silence insecurity, it amplifies it. Every rational answer is reshaped by emotion. Even apologies are dissected, weighed, and judged against the fears you carry. Even reassurances are insufficient, because the wound isn't in their actions, it's in what their departure triggered inside you. Modern relational dynamics make it worse. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, emotional unavailability, disguised as independencies, behaviors destabilize attachment systems. You chase clarity, but clarity doesn't exist in human unpredictability. No conversation can undo a pattern of behavior wired into your mind or theirs. The hardest truth is this: you don't want closure. You want OP. Hope keeps attachment alive. As long as there is a maybe, your brain postpones grief. Letting go requires finality, and finality feels like death. So you keep the door ajar. You reread old texts. You imagine conversations that never happened. You call it processing, but it's avoidance. Rumination is another trap. Each mental replay is an attempt at problem-solving in an unsolvable scenario. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Each revisit reinforces the pathways of obsession, fear, and longing. Silence becomes unbearable because uncertainty triggers threat circuits more intensely than known pain. Your mind mistakes torment for understanding. Even when an explanation is given, it rarely brings peace. People are inconsistent narrators of their own motives. Even the one who left may not comprehend their actions. Expecting a clean answer is demanding clarity from chaos. Real closure is not external, it is radical acceptance. Acceptance that some questions will never be answered, that ambiguity is inevitable, and that your emotional regulation is your responsibility. Ask yourself, if they called today with a detailed explanation, would you feel liberated, or would you start analyzing, decoding, imagining what they didn't say? Most emerged with more questions, trapped in the same loops. The task was never to understand them. It was to regulate yourself. Power comes from shifting the question, from why did they leave, to why does this destabilize me so deeply? One is about external actors, the other is about internal patterns. Understanding your attachments to anxious or avoidant trivias, why you cling, why you ruminate, why you misinterpret silence. Closure isn't given, it is chosen. You decide the story is over. You tolerate ambiguity. You grieve without needing the narrative to make sense. And it is terrifying, because it means no one else can be blamed. No external reassurance will suffice. You confront your discomfort, sit with your uncertainty, and let the wound exist without manipulation or explanation. That is Freedom that is peace. Closures are myths, not because endings aren't real, but because answers can't undo the internal turbulence. Peace comes only when you accept the unknown, release the need for narrative completion, and reclaim your emotional regulation. That is the ultimate confrontation, not with them, but with yourself. If this perspective shakes your worldview, like the video and subscribe to Mindscape now for more psychologically intense, confrontational insights. Healing isn't comfort, it's reckoning with truth.